If you're a gardener, you've likely encountered hardiness zones as a guide for selecting plants that can survive your winter temperatures. However, when it comes to perennials, these zones might not be as crucial as you think. Hardiness zones are based solely on the minimum winter temperatures of a region, ignoring other critical factors like soil quality, moisture levels, sunlight, and overall climate conditions. In this video, we'll explore why hardiness zones might not be the best indicator for growing perennials, and why focusing on your garden's specific conditions can lead to greater success. By understanding the limitations of hardiness zones and considering the full range of environmental factors, you can create a thriving garden that goes beyond what the traditional zones suggest. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Let's get started. Hardiness zones, often referred to as USDA zones, are a common tool used by gardeners to determine which plants are likely to survive in their region. These zones are based on the average annual minimum winter temperature, divided into 10-degree Fahrenheit zones. For instance, Zone 1 represents the coldest areas, with minimum temperatures below -50 degrees Fahrenheit, while Zone 13 represents the warmest regions, with minimum temperatures above 60 degree F. The USDA Hardiness Zone map was created in 1960 and has been updated periodically to reflect changes in climate data. However, hardiness zones only account for one aspect of a plant's growing conditions, its ability to withstand cold temperatures. They do not consider factors such as summer heat, humidity, soil composition, rainfall, or microclimates within a given area. For example, a Zone 5 plant can theoretically survive winter temperatures down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit, but this does not guarantee that it will thrive if the area has poor soil drainage, extreme summer heat, or inadequate sunlight. The limitations of hardiness zones become apparent when considering the diverse climates and growing conditions across the United States. A Zone 6 designation covers areas as varied as coastal Oregon, parts of the Midwest, and the Appalachian Mountains. While these regions share similar winter lows, their summer temperatures, humidity levels, and soil types differ significantly, influencing plant health and growth. For instance, lavender, Lavandula spp, is hardy to Zone 5, but it thrives best in the dry, well-drained soils and sunny conditions typical of Mediterranean climates. In contrast, it may struggle in the humid, clay-heavy soils of the Midwest, despite the similar winter temperatures. Moreover, hardiness zones do not account for urban heat islands, where temperatures in cities can be significantly higher than in surrounding rural areas. This can create microclimates that support plants usually considered too tender for a given zone. For example, figs, Ficus carica, might be marginally hardy in Zone 7 but can flourish in urban environments where the heat retained by buildings and pavement extends their growing season. To better understand plant suitability, gardeners should consider the Koppen climate classification system, which categorizes climates based on temperature and precipitation patterns. This system provides a more comprehensive view of a region's growing conditions, helping gardeners select plants that can thrive year-round. Additionally, local knowledge and observation of native and established non-native plants can offer valuable insights into what grows well in specific areas. By moving beyond hardiness zones and taking a holistic approach to plant selection, gardeners can create more resilient and thriving gardens. This involves understanding the full spectrum of environmental factors that affect plant health and growth, ensuring that chosen perennials are well suited to the actual conditions of the garden. Hardiness zones provide valuable information about the minimum winter temperatures plants can endure, but they fail to address several crucial factors that influence plant health and longevity. These zones do not account for the myriad of environmental conditions that perennials face throughout the year, which can significantly impact their ability to thrive in a given location. One major limitation of hardiness zones is their omission of summer heat tolerance. Many plants can withstand cold winters but falter in the face of prolonged summer heat. For example, hostas, Hosta spp, which are hardy in Zones 3. 9 can struggle in the intense heat and humidity of southern climates. While they may survive the winter, their performance during the growing season can be severely hampered if they are not provided with adequate shade and moisture. Humidity levels also play a critical role in plant health, influencing disease susceptibility and overall vigor. Plants like rosemary, Rosmarinus officinalis, which thrive in dry Mediterranean climates, can suffer from root rot and fungal diseases in the humid conditions of the southeastern United States, even if they fall within the appropriate hardiness zone. Similarly, high humidity can exacerbate problems with powdery mildew and other foliar diseases in plants such as zinnias, Zinnia spp, and phlox, Phlox spp. Soil composition and drainage are other vital factors that hardiness zones overlook. Clay soils, common in many parts of the Midwest and South, can retain excess moisture, leading to root rot in plants that prefer well-drained soils, like lavender and sage, Salvia spp. Conversely, sandy soils, which drain quickly and hold little moisture, can stress plants that require consistent moisture levels, such as Astilbe spp, and ferns, Dryopteris spp. Gardeners must amend their soil or choose plants specifically adapted to their soil type to ensure healthy growth. Rainfall patterns also significantly impact plant survival and performance. Areas with high rainfall may not be suitable for drought-tolerant plants like sedum spp, or Russian sage, Perovskia atroplicifolia, which can suffer from waterlogged roots. Conversely, regions with low rainfall may not support plants with high water needs, such as hydrangeas, Hydrangea spp, or Ligularia, Ligularia sppi, without supplemental irrigation. Understanding local precipitation patterns is essential for selecting perennials that will thrive without excessive watering. Microclimates within a garden can create conditions that differ markedly from the surrounding area. For instance, a sheltered south-facing wall can create a warmer microclimate that supports tender plants like figs or even some citrus varieties in regions that would typically be too cold. Similarly, low-lying areas of a garden may be more prone to frost pockets, affecting the survivability of less hardy plants. Gardeners can exploit these microclimates to extend their plant choices beyond the general hardiness zone recommendations. To illustrate these limitations, consider the example of coneflowers, Echinacea spp dar. While they are generally hardy in zones 3, 9, their success depends heavily on well-drained soils and full sun exposure. In regions with heavy clay soils or high humidity, gardeners might struggle to keep these plants healthy despite being within the appropriate hardiness zone. On the other hand, succulents like hens and chicks, Sempervivum aspti, may survive cold winters but can suffer in wet, poorly drained soils. While hardiness zones provide a useful starting point for understanding plant cold tolerance, they are insufficient as the sole guide for perennial gardening. Gardeners must consider a comprehensive range of environmental factors, including summer heat, humidity, soil composition, rainfall, and microclimates to select perennials that will thrive in their specific conditions. In addition to recognizing the limitations of hardiness zones, gardeners must also have a thorough understanding of their local climate and the specific microclimates within their gardens. Local climate encompasses not only temperature, but also precipitation patterns, humidity levels, and seasonal weather variations. Each of these factors plays a crucial role in determining which perennials will thrive in a given location. For example, the Pacific Northwest is known for its mild, wet winters and dry summers. While the region falls into USDA hardiness zones 7, 9, these zones do not account for the high levels of rainfall and cloud cover typical of this area. Plants like rhododendrons, Rhododendron sgl, and ferns, Irdomi polypodium spp, thrive in these conditions due to their preference for moist, well-drained soils and partial shade. Conversely, Mediterranean plants such as rosemary, Rosmarinus officinalis, and lavender, Lavandula spp, may struggle with the excessive moisture and lack of consistent summer heat, despite being within their hardiness zones. In contrast, the arid Southwest experiences extreme temperature fluctuations, with hot summers and cold winters, coupled with minimal rainfall. While this region falls into hardiness zones 5, 9, the low humidity and intense sun exposure must also be considered. Plants adapted to these conditions, such as agave, Agave sppua, yucca, Yucca spp, and penstemon, Penstemon spp, possess adaptations like waxy leaves and deep root systems to conserve water and withstand drought. Gardeners in this region must prioritize drought-tolerant species and consider mulching and drip irrigation to maintain soil moisture, Microclimates within a garden are smaller areas that have slightly different conditions from the surrounding landscape, often created by variations in topography, soil, and exposure to sunlight and wind. For instance, a south-facing slope will receive more sunlight and be warmer than a north-facing slope, creating a microclimate suitable for heat-loving plants like Echinacea spp, and daylilies, Hemerocallis spp. Conversely, a shaded area near a wall or under a tree canopy may remain cooler and more humid, ideal for shade-tolerant plants such as hostas, Hosta spp, and astilbes, Astilbe sppe. Understanding these microclimates allows gardeners to make more informed planting decisions. For example, a gardener in a Zone 6 area with a sheltered courtyard that traps heat might successfully grow Zone 7 plants, such as figs, Ficus carica, or even some citrus varieties, which would otherwise be marginal in their climate. Conversely, frost pockets in low-lying areas of the garden may necessitate planting more cold-tolerant species, even if the general zone would suggest otherwise. Seasonal variations also play a critical role in plant performance. Spring and fall temperatures, frost dates, and the length of the growing season can vary significantly within the same hardiness zone, impacting the success of perennial plants. For instance, in the northeastern United States, unpredictable spring frosts can damage early blooming perennials like peonies, Peonia spp, and magnolias, Magnolia spp, necessitating protection measures such as frost blankets or careful site selection to minimize exposure. In coastal regions, maritime influences can moderate temperatures, reducing the risk of frost but increasing the potential for salt spray and wind damage. Plants like beach roses, Rosa rugosa, and sea lavender, Limonium spp, are well adapted to these conditions, tolerating both salt and wind while thriving in sandy, well-drained soils. By carefully observing and understanding their local climate and garden microclimates, gardeners can select and place perennials more effectively, ensuring their success beyond what hardiness zones alone can predict. This holistic approach to gardening, considering all environmental factors, leads to healthier, more resilient gardens that can withstand the challenges posed by their specific conditions. In conclusion, while USDA hardiness zones provide valuable information on winter temperatures, they are not the sole determinant of gardening success. Understanding the nuances of your local climate and the specific microclimates within your garden is crucial for choosing the right perennials and ensuring their thriving growth. By considering factors such as precipitation, humidity, soil conditions, and seasonal variations, you can make informed decisions that go beyond the limitations of hardiness zones. Embracing this holistic approach to gardening will lead to healthier, more resilient plants and a more productive and beautiful garden. Until next time, happy gardening.